Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and today we're going to take a deeper look at the meaning of Mars in the sign of Leo. So, in order to do that, I will be rewinding and showing you one of the Planets in Profile series episodes from a couple of years ago. And I'm doing this as a way of kind of familiarizing everybody with this series, giving you some good evergreen content, especially since Mars has just entered Leo. It's a really good time to take a look at that episode again. And also, I'm priming the pump for the upcoming reboot of the series, as we're going to be taking a look at the moon through the signs after I finish my series on parenting tips for all 12 signs of the zodiac. So our agenda for today is to take a deeper look at the placement of Mars in the sign of Leo. Before we get into it, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share your comments, especially if you're a Mars in Leo native. We'd love to hear from you and hear your take and wisdom on having this placement. You can find a transcript of any of my daily talks on the website, nightlightastrology.com. If you go over to the website right now, you'll also notice that we are enrolling people for the upcoming class, which starts on June 11th. This is my one-year course, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic. Start soon. Take a look at everything that the course includes. If you have any questions at all, email us info@nightlightastrology.com. Hear what our alumni have had to say about it. The main thing you need to know is that there's 30 courses on the year. They're all 2 to 3 hours each, held by live webinar, but everything is recorded so you can attend live or follow along with the recordings on the class website, where you can download and keep everything that we provide for you on the year. There are also guest lectures that we have come in. So there's an additional 12 classes outside the 30 with guest teachers. We also have breakout study sessions with tutoring staff to help you between major units of study. We have an interactive group forum discussion where you can talk with other people, ask questions, and get help from our tutoring staff who are always there answering questions. You can also email me throughout the whole course. So it's a course that's designed to go as deep as you want to go. At the bottom, you'll find enrollment options, including the early bird payment, which saves you $500 off, a payment plan, which you can spread the tuition out over the course of 12 months. And then we have need-based tuition assistance, which is for people who want to take the program, but the price point is out of reach. You're experiencing financial hardship, or you're just on a really tight fixed budget. We understand we have a price point that we set, and we trust that people who can afford it will use it, while people who need a little bit of help because of whatever is going on in their life will feel totally comfortable to use the need-based tuition. So we've always tried to have some flexibility in our pricing so that people aren't learning astrology from just one walk of life or from just one, financial tier or something like that. So anyway, we are very glad to help you out if you need it. So check that need-based tuition option out. And if you have any questions about the class, email us info@nightlightastrology.com. Well, without further ado, I hope you enjoy this rewind episode and we take a deep look at Mars moving into the sign of Leo. Take it easy, everyone. Bye.
Hi, everybody. This is Elenbaas, and this is another episode of Planets in Profile. So I'm catching up right now after a summer away from doing this series, and Mars is currently in the sign of Virgo, but today we're actually going to go backward a little bit. We're going to look at Mars in the sign of Leo as we're going all the way around the wheel with both Mars and Venus in this series. So today we're going to give you a sense of how you can interpret Mars when it's in the sign of Leo and in your birth chart or somebody else's chart that you're looking at, or how to interpret Mars when it's transiting through Leo, which of course is going to happen somewhat regularly. We will, hopefully this talk will address both of those things at once. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share it on the screen, and let's make this let's make this full screen. All right, so we're looking at Mars in Leo. Now, one of the things that I feel is very important to start with in all of these series is a note on how ancient astrologers actually looked at planets when they were in signs. In modern astrology, we place a lot of emphasis on signs, right? We say, Leo means this, or Aquarius means that, or Virgo means this, or Pisces means that. And actually in ancient astrology, the signs were really the signs were portions of the zodiac that were designed to help us break up the seasonal developments of the sun, and also to describe the different homes of the planets and how the planets are changed and shifted depending on their environment. And so every planet, except for the sun and the moon, have two signs, a masculine and a feminine sign. And really what the zodiac is an expression of how the 7 traditional planets change their personalities depending on where they're at. And each planet has 2 signs where it's really at home. So what we're doing when we read something like Mars in Leo is really we're trying to figure out, how does Mars behave? What does Mars want? And how does it get what it wants, or how does it struggle potentially with the symbolism of the sun, which is the planetary host of Leo. So the way we say this would be to say that Leo is the hot, dry fire temple of the sun. That's really what the sign is it's talking about the environment or atmosphere in which a planet resides. And so what we want to ask the question of is, how does Mars behave again, and then how does Mars get along with the sun, or how might the sun qualify an interpretation of Mars? In order to do this, there's always one thing you need to do, which is to check the status of the sun in the chart. When you're reading Mars in Leo, you can't do it alone. You actually need to know more about the sun, where the sun is. That's how Mars is going to go. So if Mars is in Leo, then, and the sun is in Virgo, if the sun is in Taurus or something like that, this will change the meaning of the sun itself, or of Mars itself, because Mars is reliant upon the sun. So you always have to look at that. You want aspectual connection, a trine, a sextile being ideal between Mars and the sun. That way you have harmonious relationship with the host, which is very key. Okay, so what does Mars usually want, and what does Mars do? Well, Mars is the god of war. Mars wants action, violence. Mars wants to cut. Mars wants to sever. And so as Mars is in the sign of any planet, it's going to still want to do those things. So it's just a question of, well, how does the sun act as a host for this house guest? How does the sun provide for Mars and his needs, wants, desires, etc., his faults and flaws? How does the sun participate in those things? So Mars, obviously we said, wants to cut, conquer, wants to demonstrate courage, wants to fight or compete or exert, right? So how does it do so in the sign of the sun? Well, let's remember something about the seasonal qualities of Leo, right? We know a lot about the sun, like the sun might be represented to leaders or kings or fame or visibility or light, a lot of other things too. It was related to the mind, and the ancient astrologers also saw that it was related to our higher intelligence. So we know those things about the sun, but what can we say about the seasonal qualities of Leo in particular? Well, remember that Leo is the middle of summer, so it's happening on the yang half of the year, but the light is declining every day in the sign of Leo. And so as the light is declining every day in the sign of Leo, there is this duality of the source of light and life, the sun. But then there is this decline every single day. There's decline of life, decline of light, the eventual loss, the eventual death. That's there. That's actually built into Leo. The days are getting shorter every day of Leo. And yet it's arguably the brightest, warmest time of year. Well, actually, this is at the heart of what solar, like Leo symbolism is all about. Think about a king, for example, right? A king is a symbol around which a society is organized. And the king goes through a succession. So the king is actually a position that different people can hold. And so divine appointment, the succession of kings or queens, that the sense of trying to pass something on that will live on and that will have a kind of eternality, despite the fact that the different people will wear the crown, right? They'll pass it on. That's at the heart of what Leo season is all about. Leo season is, that's why we have the association during this time with Leo, with kings, rulers, fame, because anything that has the sense of needing to be celebrated as eternal, something around which, everything else can be organized, right? Like we can all look up at the stars, right? That's why, like our movie stars or our rock stars, these are people that we all collectively look up at, and they become an icon of something that organizes and shapes our vision and our focus. And so many of us end up, we're told anyone can be famous too. It could be you, So Leo archetype has a lot to do with the uh, mantle of power and position in the world as a symbol of something undying, right? So um, that that part of Leo is a seasonal part of Leo that we need to understand in order to understand how Mars is going to behave when he's hanging out in that sign. So let's talk about some things that, well, first of all, because Mars likes to struggle, Mars in any sign can represent conflicts. Conflicts with what? Conflicts with solar things, or conflicts in relation to this seasonal solar archetype that we just talked about. The need to live on and endure despite the dying of the light. That's fame and icons and legacies and greatness and awards and medals. We memorialize things. That's all. That's the Leo, right? So that's always going to be a part of the qualification of Mars when it's in this sign. And Mars can struggle with those solar issues, or Mars can also find conflict with those issues or honor with those issues. Those are the typical things that Mars is going to bring in any sign, and then you just mix it with the planet, in this case, the sun again. So celebrities with Mars in Leo: Donald Trump, got it right on the ascendant, right? Think about it. He's like, the critics, those who don't like him, I'm not going to get political here, so I'm going to try to be objective. Those who do not like him, they say, he's a bully. He's a strong man, right? He's a braggart, right? Mars and Leo, right on the ascendant. Other people say, he's strong. I like that, right? But it's the Mars archetype, and it has to do with the mantle of power and authority. Mars and Leo, the executive, you're fired, right? He's the king. He's got the regal thing, but he's also got that kind of executive feature. That's Mars and Leo. How about Beyonce? You think about how Mars and Leo she is. She's strong and powerful. It's like a war queen kind of feeling with Beyonce. You get that. Hillary Clinton also has Venus in Leo. And, what do her critics say? She's a hawk. She pretends like she's, all about peaceful things, but she's more ambitious and wants to wield power more than she lets on. That's one of the great criticisms that you hear about her, even from liberals, right? So Venus in Mars in Leo. Now, how about James Dean? Childhood, rebel, right? You have that symbol of that which is young and youthful and solar, right? Apollonian, and something classic and eternal about James Dean, the kind of eternal youth, but the troubled youth, right? Rebel without a cause. How about Michael Jordan, right? The king of basketball, right? He is the undisputed greatest of all time, and he has he has a relationship to fame, but he's incredibly competitive. Mars and Leo. So it's not like Venus in Leo, where it likes to bask in the light and the greatness. This is a warrior king kind of principle. Harrison Ford, right? He's think of Indiana Jones, Star Wars. He's the hero who's famous, a bit of a tyrant, a bit of a cocksure. He's like the guy who's like strong, dashing, famous, and he kind of knows it. It's kind of this cocky Mars and Leo vibe. Frank Sinatra, similar vibe, right? Famous, but kind of cocksure and stronger, right? That's it's not like, again, Venus and Leo, where you have more of the like Michael Jackson or Madonna. It's different. Cher, same thing, real strong. Quentin Tarantino, same thing. He's got the celebrity vibe with a dark, powerful kind of bad boy king kind of vibe, like almost like Elvis Presley as well. You could think about that. Elvis Presley with Jupiter in Scorpio, Mars's sign, so kind of similar. The king, emperor, sometimes the Dark Lord. Bruce Springsteen, right? Same thing. You've got the rocker, the Jersey boardwalk, knife fighting, gum chewing, muscle car driving, like pissed off, angsty teenager, right? Bruce Springsteen, Mars and Leo, same thing. Steven Tyler, same vibe. Aerosmith. John McCain, a war hero, a decorated war hero and politician, and ran for president and had the warrior king. Anne Frank, someone who persists and becomes famous through wartime. Again, and that kind of the courage that Anne Frank had. How about Thomas Jefferson, right? very important for our country's liberation and freedom, he had conflicts with kings. Conflicts with kings. Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, he is someone who is constantly challenging authority. So he also has this kind of, and he's always like, look, I'm famous, but I'm kind of like a, he kind of has that kind of angsty, angry, but kind of lovable personality, the warrior king. Now, same thing, Hulk Hogan, right? Think about that. Bad boy, big king, Maine, right? Hulk Hogan. Jim Jones, a cult leader, right? The Dark Mars, the Dark Lord again. Dennis Rodman, again, kind of the Dark Lord vibe. Bad boy, you know, he was a piston and then he was a bull, crazy hair, you know, very kingly, very like super, and even queenly, right? He you know, he can go either way. Queen, substitute queen, dark queen, that would fit too. Dennis Rodman goes in there as well. So you get a feeling for it. That's Mars struggling with, benefiting from, maybe being honored by the combination with the sun, the solar issues. So again, that's what I've got for you. I hope that this was an interesting Planets in Profile episode. I will look forward. I'm catching up now, so I'm going to do Virgo next. Okay, take care.